So this listen, we kind of dabbed a little deep, that wasn't really
As
where we
always.
was trying to go, but hey, it worked. So we're going to a little lighter note. I do want to bring this up. It's not, whatever. I want to talk about the standard of beauty. I want to talk about that because
Oh,
it's an
Lord.
interesting topic.
Help us, Jesus.
How people view beauty, like, and it's not even how people view beauty. It's like, where do you think it came from of how we view beauty? So, like, I had an example. I had a conversation with just a friend back in the day. I don't even remember, but he only liked light-skinned women. He was only attracted to light-skinned women. And for me, because at this point in my life, I was becoming a little more woke with the trends of America and, just basically seeing how the darker your skin is, kind of the less desirable you are as far as beauty is concerned. We're getting, it's a little different now. That's why I want to talk about it, right? But I just feel like, is it a coincidence that a man who is really dark skinned only wants to date light skinned women?
No.
On top of this ideology that the lighter you are, the prettier you are, the darker you are, the uglier you are. And I remember having that conversation. He was like, nah, that ain't what it is.
Nope, it is.
I've always been like this. That's always the answer. I've always been like this.
No.
That doesn't mean anything. Like, that doesn't mean that you weren't conditioned. You may not have been aware that you were conditioned, but, if that's the only thing we see on TV, it just got to a
So if
point
that's
where
the only thing you were around.
the only thing you're around. But I just feel like there's this promotion of lighter skin, and it's still happening to this day. The colorism is the thing. And I don't know. What do you think about the standard of beauty? Or
Well, let's go all the way back to slavery. Yep, we're talking about it because you want to, especially in the construct of the world. We talk about colorism, but before there was colorism, you got to go back to Jim Crow. You got to go back to slavery when if you were a light-skinned woman, you were treated better than dark-skinned women by the white slave owners. If you was light-skinned, you were in the house. And whatever your job was, that's what it was. If you were of darker skin, you were in the field. That's just how it went. Now, fast forward, if you are treated better as a light-skinned woman or a light-skinned person, even back in that day, that was the standard. And so, fast forward all these years later, and it's still a thing. Why? Because that was the foundation set in this country.
yeah,
At the end of the day, that was the standard that was set, that light-skinned women were more beautiful than dark-skinned women in this country. You see it on TV. You can't turn the TV on and not see it.
do you think that you're still have you ever been conditioned to believe that yourself?
I've dated many of women. Actually, no, I haven't. But no, honestly though, because my surroundings was always diverse. So I've been around light-skinned women, dark-skinned women, Hispanic.
Have you ever had a preference for light or dark?
No,
Okay.
never.
Okay. That's good.
Now, I had a preference if your breast stank and stuff. Like if your one,
We are not talking
if you
about
had like
that.
one tooth, like she cute, but that eye's a little droopy. Okay.
I think I did. I mean, I honestly, I think I did. I think at a point in time, it's not that I'm like, oh, I only want to date light skinned guys, but I think at a point in time, I did feel like they were more handsome or more attractive. And I think it's just because that's what I was taught. You know what I'm saying? Like the lighter you are, the better you look. I I don't know. I just think that that's what we're, conditioned to believe. Like that's all we see. Like even if we just watching TV, the pretty girl in high school that everybody want is light skin.
Is light skin, yeah.
So.
And you kind of see that narrative changing now.
Exactly. And that was going to be my next question.
Not like.
What do you think is changing that? You think we just becoming woke and we like.
I don't even think it's becoming woke. I think, at least not in the black community, I think we are.
Well, this is only exists in the black community, Dave. I mean, I don't know if it exists in other ethnicities.
No, it didn't. It didn't even start in the black community. It started with white people. White people treated light-skinned people better, and so black people were conditioned to believe.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying.
So yeah. However, I think that the narrative is changing to appreciate all different colors of our black skin.
Yeah.
Like, I've dated beautiful dark-skinned women. I've dated beautiful light-skinned women. To me, it doesn't matter. What matters is, are you a good person?
For sure.
At the end of the day. But
to a normal person, yes. But sometimes we don't even know, like, okay, I'm more attracted to you, and I don't even think about why I'm more attracted to you or why I don't, because, people have types. But it's like, sometimes you got to look at your type and be like, why is your type like that?
Why is this the
Why
only...
do you only like mixed girls?
Why is this the only thing?
I know men that only like mixed girls. The whitest black girl. That's what I call mixed girls.
And
it's not a bad thing.
Right.
To
We're not
talk
saying...
about that, but I'm just saying, if you only like them, that to me is like something to question, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, I like black girls, just the ones that's less black than the rest of them.
True.
So to me, that raises eyebrows for me. If you just happen to date a mixed girl, that's different. But to only want a black girl that has white in her, to me, raises questions. So that's why I wanted to bring it up, talking about the standard of beauty. And like I said, my next questions was, do you think it progressed or digressed, and why?
I think it's progressing, but I only think it's progressing because for two reasons. One, I think white people saw, after a while, black people appreciating each other more, despite whether you're dark skinned or light skinned. And then white people were like, oh, we got to jump in. We got to start putting it on TV. We got to start, because you see more dark skinned women in lead roles. You see more dark skinned women getting more opportunities. But I believe, because black people have always been at the forefront of success everywhere.
Yeah.
And so they see us celebrating each other, so they don't want to be left out because they're scared to look like a racist bigot. So whatever their intentions are, they're going to jump in because we lead the charge in everything.
Do you think it's wrong to be intentional about only dating darker skin because of the oppression of dark skinned people? So it's kind of like, it's not like a pity thing, but it's kind of like I want to condition myself to love dark skin. You think that's a bad thing?
Yeah, because it ain't real.
What's not real?
If your natural instinct, if you're doing it.
But what's natural if you're taught, then you're conditioned?
Well, my thing is this. It's like, if you're only doing it for the sake of being like, I've only been dating light-skinned women for so long.
I've only been attracted to light-skinned women.
I feel bad. Let me go date a dark-skinned.
It don't have to always be I feel bad. It's just more so like, oh, I've realized I think light-skinned people look better. But I see now that that's not the case. And I also see that there is an oppression on darker-skinned people when I think they're beautiful. So now I'm being more intentional about loving dark-skinned people. And I'm asking you if you think that's bad.
I think it's bad. It depends on why. Why all of a sudden change?
I guess for on a personal, if you're personally realizing that, oh, I only like this person, and I'm realizing like.
Well, if it's something that you're like internally. Like,
yeah, like
you know
I notice that I'm this type of person.
No, I don't think it's bad.
Okay. No. Well,
I guess it depends on your intentions. But
yeah.
what's your answer? Do you think it's bad?
I don't know.
True.
I really don't know. Sometimes, because I mean, honestly, I'm talking about myself. That's why I'm asking that. I don't feel like I've only liked light skinned people, but like I said, I did feel like, because I've never been the type of woman, where I had these standards that I couldn't. I don't feel like I had look standards. So yeah, I would probably date a dark skinned man, but that doesn't mean I didn't think a light skinned man was more handsome. So I want to point that out. Just because I date you doesn't mean I think there's not a light skinned man more handsome than you. I just decided to date you. But even just being more attracted to a light skinned person, for me, knowing what I know about colorism and how we were taught to do that makes me not want to be that way. And that makes me want to look more towards the darker skinned people. It made me more attracted to darker skin, because I was so attracted to lighter skin. And I don't know if that's a bad thing or not, but I think that's just a result of what happened, from me being like, seeing a light skinned man, with a beard, whatever. That was just, the most handsome thing in the world. But a dark skinned man with a beard might get looked over, But now it's like, it's different. It's kind of the opposite, I guess I would say. And I don't know if that's a bad thing or not. But I don't feel like I don't know if it even mattered, because I don't feel like it would ever really play a role like in who I end up with. It's just something to think about as far as me being attracted to,
Yeah. I mean,
So,
it's
yeah.
a good question. I mean,
I don't know if it's a bad thing or not, but it kind of reminded me of how Umar Johnson be talking about how
oh, Lord.
Umar Johnson's so funny, but he be saying some truth. I don't be getting into all of it, but he would talk about black marriage and like how don't date outside your race, basically. Be intentional about that. If you fall in love with a white girl, oh well, you can't marry her. I don't know if that's a bad thing or not. I'm still on the fence about that, because I understand where he's coming from.
I do too, because he's taking it from like build the black family.
Exactly.
And so I agree. I think
so too. But
I think the black family should be
for
built
a person that's black and in love,
but
soulmate with a white person. It's like you can't tell them that they doing something wrong. You know what I'm saying? So it's just
unless they're like, I only date white women because black women crazy.
You're
then
right.
something's wrong with you. With you, the man, something's wrong. But I think that if that's all you hung around as a kid and you grew up around that, you went to school with white people and that's it. I mean, that's what you just been around. I don't think it's intentional. It's just that's all you've been around.
Yeah. Because I remember I was talking to a black guy about that at my old job. And he was talking about that. Like, yeah, I only date white girls, but I went to Indian Hill. So what do you expect me to do?
Absolutely, you only date white women. What?
And I'm like, you know what? You're right.
It's true.
Where you going to find a black girl at? You ain't going to find her.
In Indian Hill, nowhere near.
He called them snow bunnies. Like, what? See?
Nowhere near.
Like, I dated snow bunnies my whole life.
Well,
it'd be like that. So yeah, and that's the thing too. Like we have to understand environment plays a role in a lot of this stuff. Like we can't just say, that's the thing about Umar Johnson. Like, yeah, I get what you're saying, but how do you say that to the black man that grew up around only white people? He's going to fall in love with a white girl. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. So that's why I try not to be so wrapped up in all of that. Like, yeah, if you have a chance to date a black girl, I think you should over a white girl as a black man. And I think the same for black women.
I can't take him seriously.
Some of the stuff he say be,
because it's like,
it's not everything.
Doesn't he have like multiple wives or something?
Yeah, I think he's a polygamist.
Yeah, I can't.
He's a polygamist or whatever.
I can't take him seriously. I really can't.
Right. So what's black marriage to you if you're a polygamist? What is marriage? I don't even understand marriage and if it's not monogamous, but that's another conversation. So we could talk about unrealistic standards or expectations. Do you have any before I
used to. I had
unrealistic expectations.
I had a whole list. You had to have, like, you had to have long hair, and you had to have like all your teeth.
Okay, that's not a realistic expectation.
You had to have all your teeth.
You would date a
You
woman that don't
couldn't-
have all her teeth?
I mean,
She
if
missing a
had-
tooth?
Some people do. I mean,
Where?
You never know.
People missing teeth? I'd
Probably.
be scared. I'd never get it fixed.
I don't know. Maybe she got hit by something when she was a child. She just got tooth missing.
But I guess what I mean is, I guess there's nothing wrong with missing a tooth. I don't feel like I meet a lot of people who don't have all their teeth. I don't know.
Or they just look like they got all their teeth until you really get close to them.
Oh, okay, maybe. Yeah, I
You see
don't be
that
paying
jar
attention like
sitting
that.
on the side of the bed.
Oh my God!
Put
so you can
them
date a woman
teeth.
that,
Oh
that put
my
her teeth in a
God.
jar?
I would run out the house so quick.
What if she was everything though, and that was the only
Don't.
thing? What? She was everything you ever wanted in a woman,
I
but
don't care.
you're lying.
I promise you, I would run out the house.
It's over. You're not in love no more.
I just, I can't watch her do it. It would just be like,
And see, that's
ugh.
the thing
Like,
about standards too, y'all, because it's like we can have all these things, but that one is that one thing.
and sometimes you don't even know what your standards are until you are in front of it. Like for
Yeah.
me, if I ever saw a woman take her teeth out to eat and we on a date, no, date's over. No, thank you.
So your unrealistic expectation was looks. So do you still have expectations for a certain look? Like, yes, I'm sure you have to be attracted to her, but does she have to look a certain
You
way?
can't be taller than me. That's the only thing.
You actually
swear.
have real standards over there.
You just can't be taller than me. If that makes me shallow, okay.
A little
But
bit.
okay, I am who I am. I just don't.
And see, I don't have that.
Right. We're good.
I don't have that. I don't have. I mean, I guess I couldn't like date a midget though, but that's messed up. I
Can't
shouldn't
call
say
them
that.
midgets no more.
Oh, what'd you call them?
Little people.
Oh, little people.
You can't say
I
that.
did not mean no harm by that, but
You
I don't
are
know
so
the extremities.
funny.
Yes, but like I don't have that. I don't have looks standards, or like I don't know.
You don't?
I don't think I do.
Are you sure?
I do have to be attracted to you, but I can be attracted to people that I'm not physically attracted to initially. I can be that way because I'm more attracted to you.
Yeah.
I am more attracted to a person than the look of a person.
Now-
And because I ain't gonna lie to you, it's kind of hard to find it all.
It's true.
So-
it's very true. I think for me, like it starts physical, but after like 2 conversations, I'm like, no,
Yeah, because you.
no.
How many times does that happen? You find somebody that is fine, but when you talk to them,
You're
what?
like, no, the elevator don't reach top floor.
It's like
Can't do it.
No,
I'm good.
Absolutely not. So that, and I think just being a woman, like listen, that's very hard to find the entire, he's fine, he's this, he's that. Not saying I'm going to give up on trying to find that, but that's hard to do. So I'm not, I guess maybe I just kind of allowed myself to not think about, to think about what's more important to me instead of me having to check all the boxes. I only have this small box that needs to be checked. Everything else can kind of
Right.
waver.
Right.
So, yeah. So I just wanted to talk about standards as far as looks because we're not gonna act like we don't have them. Me personally,
We absolutely do.
I do feel like I have to be attracted to you,
Yeah.
but I don't feel like it needs to be like to the extreme. Like I don't know. It doesn't have to be initial, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It could be something that happens because you're just a dope person.
Yeah, like for me, it's just like you have preferences. Like I like a woman to keep her nails done. Keep your toes right. If you don't, it just throws me off. I don't know.
Those are easy fixes too. You know what I'm saying?
First, you would think so. Some people, it ain't.
Oh, some people just got messed up feet, I guess. But I
Yes.
mean, you can file it down for get the corn out. I don't know how to work. I don't know how that works.
Nope.
But see, I personally hate my feet. So me getting my feet done, I don't care how broke I am. My feet is going to be done. Okay. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm. Yeah. I'm just telling you right now.
Just keep 'em
You in a
done.
relationship with me and we down to our last $20. I need an extra $30 to go get my feet done.
Go
Okay.
get it done. Keep them
We
right.
don't have to put our account
Keep
in
it
the
right and
negative.
keep
Trust
it
me
right
to
and
put it
keep
back
it
in
tight.
there because I'm getting my feet done. My nails, I get my nails done now, but I don't really care if I don't keep my nails done. Like I'm cool with just getting a little clear polish on them or whatever, if that's what it comes down to. But my feet is non-negotiable. It's going to stay done.
Well,
'cause I
bless the
really hate
Lord, because
it. Bless the Lord.
everybody ain't that way. Jesus died on the cross for your feet to get done and stay done. Amen.
So I didn't really get to brainstorm as much as I wanted to as far as unrealistic expectations I feel like women have and men have. But I did list a couple. So we talk about and this is why I say I don't have this, oh, he has to make this a certain amount of money. But I know that a lot of women, we have this expectation of, oh, he needs to make this, especially if we make it. It's like, and it's a great it's a great point to bring up because it's not that way on the other side.
Right.
Like I never hear a man say, I'm a 6-figure earner. I have to have a 6-figure earner woman. But for some reason, women will be like, if I make 6 figures, my man has to make 6 figures or more. And I want to make it a point to bring up because there's only a very small percentage of the population that makes 6 figures or more.
It's like 1%, ain't it?
It's like, did I look that up?
I think it's like
15%.
Okay.
But this is including all ethnicities,
right.
married or not married, all ages, because I was thinking about that too. Just to jump a little bit ahead, I'm gonna go back. But we'll have expectations if we don't have kids. We don't want our partner to not have kids.
Right.
But at your age, if you're 30 or if you're 28 or if you're 33 or 35 and you don't want a man that doesn't have kids, you have completely decreased your chances of finding him because most women don't want to date younger either, right? Whereas men, they might be able to meet their expectations of not having a woman or having a woman that doesn't have kids if they don't have kids yet because they're willing to date younger, well younger.
Right.
And the older you are, the more likely you are to have kids. And the younger, and I actually looked this up, and, the younger you are as a woman, in your younger 20s, you don't have kids. And then the older you are is when you start having the kids. So yeah, I feel like men might not be an unrealistic expectation for men to meet a woman that has kids or don't have kids because he's willing to date younger. But women, we want a 6-figure earner that don't have kids, that's older than us, and we're in our 30s. That seems to be unrealistic, especially if it's only 15%. And that's including if you don't want to date white male, that just went way down. If you don't want to date, obviously a man that's married, just went way down. So there's so many factors that goes into this very small percentage of the population that makes it kind of unrealistic to find. And I just want to make a point to say that it's sometimes even knowing, like I had to tell myself that because I'm the same way. I mean, I'm not a 6-figure earner, but I'm the same. I had to check myself. Like, I mean, you want a man that makes more than you or the same as you or on the same level as you. But me thinking about a man and how he doesn't have those same requirements, why are women walking around like, I have to have this when men are willing to work with us? Why aren't we willing to work with them? And I just feel like, and I get it, the whole male women thing, the whole provider thing and all of that. But if you're a 6-figure earner, you don't need your man to provide. So why aren't we focusing on the things we actually need from the man?
My thing is, who said he couldn't provide if you making more than him?
Oh, I made a whole video on that. Man can provide so much more than his income.
Right.
So, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because, like I said, I think women, we we tend to have expectations, but we don't look at the reality of the situation, especially us women in our 30s. You know what I'm saying? We are the most strict, and it probably makes sense that we're the most strict and the most single. Because I think I looked that statistic up as well. I'm still kind of researching that. But I think it's way more single black women than there are single black men. And we're talking about unrealistic expectations. I do not think that is a coincidence. I think we can be very superficial. There are men that's probably been in our lives that would make great husbands, but they just don't fit into our earner, or they don't fit the age group, or they don't fit whatever.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of women pass over great men because they don't match these unrealistic things, and they put them in the friend zone. Like, you got more male friends than the men you've dated.
Yep.
And it's
like, oh, he got 2 baby mamas, or but it's like, sis, you in your 30s, so? He's lived a long life. We are not 20 years old anymore. Now, if you're 20 years old and you have these expectations, it might be more realistic for you.
Here's what I don't understand about people when it comes to relationships. It's like you base people off their resume.
Yes. And that's why I say that's not a thing for me.
And you can't look at me based on where I've been. Look at me where I am right now and where I'm going. Point blank, period. If you are so concerned about my resume, leave me alone.
Okay.
Leave me alone.
Because, and we see that, and I think that too is like, are we learning? Because we'll find men who meet these expectations. So, I mean, I can say they're unrealistic just on a general sense, but we'll find these type of men. But do they want to be monogamous? Do they want marriage? Do they want to be with you? Are you a catch for them?
Right.
Because a lot of times, I say this all the time, women love to do this list of, oh, he has to be all of these things. But are we preparing ourselves to be rejected by this man that we want? Because that just because you want him don't mean he wants you. And sometimes I feel like we don't take that into account. Like, say the type of man that you want, yeah, you got the 6-figure earner, don't have no kids yet, whatever the expectations is, you found this unicorn, right? What if he doesn't like how you are? What if he doesn't like the fact that you wear wigs? What if he doesn't like your personality? You're a bartender, or whatever it is. It could be certain things that he has, just like you have all these things on your list. He might have those same things. And it's like, are we being intentional about finding out what these type of men actually want, instead of trying to get this man and he's not even looking your way because he's not even attracted to you?
Here's what I've learned.
Are we aware of the man we want being attracted to us?
Here's what I've learned. There's a small space of a difference of what men want and what women want. Meaning, and I'm not even just talking about unrealistic expectations. I'm talking about what your expectations are too. You want a man who does all these things, and that's cool. We can talk finances. We can talk all this stuff. What I'm speaking specifically on, you're a woman who wants to feel safe. So does he. You are a woman who wants to feel secure. So does he. It may look different, but y'all want the same things.
Want the same things.
And so if you are, since we talking about women in their 30s, if you have all these expectations and you keep passing through men who meet most of your expectations, but it's that one thing where you're just like, no.
He don't make enough money.
It's just like, okay, well.
He can't take care of you, but does he need to take care of you? This is the same people.
And when you say take care of you, what do you even mean? Like,
just the ability, because I know what I mean when I used to think this way, right? And it's been a while since I've thought this way. But when I say your ability to take care of me, I mean, if I lose my job, can you?
Right.
Not meaning take care of me now in the sense where I don't need you to, but I still want you to. I've never been that type. But I have wanted my man to be able to. But now I don't really look at it that way because I feel like I have grown so much in financial education. I don't want either one of us to work. We so stuck on income and all of that. What does that matter? Both of you should be investing to not work at all.
Right.
Both of you should be trying to become financially free. So the conversation completely changes for me with the financial education that I've gained over the years. An income thing is not a big deal because if I'm making a good amount of money where I can invest, if you bring in a little money in it, it's still more. And we use that collectively to invest. What does it matter?
Right.
So to me, even if it is realistic to find these high income earners, when you're a high income earner, to me, it's not necessary. When you are financially educated and you know what you can turn money into and you know how money works, it's not really necessary to have this standard of a certain income. The standard should be, do you want to be financially educated? Do you want to invest? Do you want to be financially free? You don't have to have all the resources to get that done, but the fact that you want it, all right, I have resources. Let's put these two together and let's create something. So for me, it's our ability to create something together versus our income, levels.
Right.
I don't even know where we were going with that, but I forget. So we were just talking about unrealistic expectations or unrealistic standards. Do you have anything? I'm trying to think if there's other things. I know income is a big one, I feel like, for women. For men, I mean, I have another list here talking about, I said delusional standards. We could kind of be around the same thing.
Yeah.
So I talk about how men have, I feel like, and this is just my opinion, I feel like men have this expectation of like, or standard or whatever, of like wanting a woman that has very little to very low sexual experience, but very high sex drive and very open sexual, I don't even know what the word is, just open to being a freak. But I hate to say that word because I don't know, that can mean so much different things.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like that's kind of redundancy to say, oh, I don't want her to have that many sexual partners and that basically don't have that many sexual experiences. Or maybe they do have a lot of sexual experience, but just with one person, but who knows what that looks like.
Right.
That could look like a boring sex. So I guess what I'm saying is I feel like men have this ideology like, oh, I want women who don't have sex that much or only have sex with this person, very low experience, but very high sex drive and I want us to be able to have sex here and have sex there and all these different positions and all these different, it's like, are we asking for something that's not really realistic as far as how, like, is it possible to be this high sex drive woman if you lack the sexual experience? And I just feel like, I don't know, in my relationships, all of my relationships, I feel like that was a problem where it was like, maybe they were very experienced sexually. So they're, and I don't know if that's where the sex drive came from. I'm not saying that's where the sex drive came from. I don't know where sex drive come from, but I do feel like I feel like you'd have to experience it in a good way to want it a lot. So I feel like, I don't know. What do you think as a man? Do you have that? Do you have that like, oh, I want a high sex drive woman, but I don't want her to be out here either?
I think most relationships I've learned, there's always someone who's like, they call it higher desire, and there's someone with low desire. And that it's not really even based off experience. It's really like some people just don't have a huge desire for sexual intercourse. But some people, they can just go whenever, they just ready. So I think really it depends on the individual. I don't think your experience makes you want it more. Because, I mean, who's to say if your experiences, the bad experiences outweigh the good? Does that mean you won't still want it more? Maybe. I don't know. But I do believe that what was that?
I have no idea.
Oh, it's probably the laptop.
Okay. I was just going to ignore it.
I'm like, who is that?
Right. What's going on?
I do believe that, there are people who are higher desire. But then again, like,
So you think it's innate? It doesn't come
Yeah.
from experience at all?
no, I don't think it does.
I think that's a man's perspective.
I'm a man. That's
Yeah.
all I can give.
Yeah, for sure. I guess when I ask the question, I be wanting you to try to think for a general sense and not really just think for yourself. Because
Well, no.
Because that's
I
what
think being-
that's what I'm doing. I'm not really here to say, well, me and my experience, I feel like it's innate or it's not innate. Because I just feel like in a general sense, if we're just using common sense here, is it normal to expect a woman to lack sexual experience but be just as desirable as you in sex who do not lack the sexual experience? Is that normal? Is that a normal expectation? Because like I feel like for men maybe it is.
But are people thinking about
because
that when they about to have sex though, or when they?
I feel like it's not even about to have sex, but it's like you want someone that desires sex as much as you.
Okay.
And if your sexual background is completely different than your partner's sexual background, how can you expect their desires to be the same as yours? So when I say, is it normal to have this expectation like, oh, I don't want my woman to have this much sexual experience, but I also want her to be the freakiest of the freak in the bedroom? Is that a normal expectation?
I really don't know. I don't. In a general sense, I can't. I don't know. It would make. I mean, if somebody does think that way, I would understand. It makes sense to me. But the opposite also makes sense to me too. I mean,
That's fair.
some people have that expectation of, I want to freak in the sheets,
Yeah.
and
But I also want her to be a virgin.
I want her desire to be as high as mine. 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna get that. I don't think.
Yeah.
But of course, until you have that conversation, like,
Yeah,
how are
it's
you, how are
definitely
you gonna
something
know?
you can work out.
But some people can't give that though, because
Can't give what?
like, if you want people to be, have the desire for sex as much as you, there are some people who can't give that. It's just not in them to do it. So it's like,
So I don't believe in that. So I believe that what you desire trumps your ability, because you don't really know your ability until you desire it. So if you allow yourself to desire it and allow yourself to experience the practice of becoming capable of it, you don't know what you're going to tap into. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, I lack a high sex drive, and that's just me, and oh well. No, I would want a high sex drive because I want to be married. I want a monogamous relationship. I know men need sex. I'm heterosexual. Why would I be okay with not having a high sex drive? I'm never going to satisfy my husband fully, sexually. So to me, I'd have to be that person. But if I'm not that person now, that's cool. And we're in a sense of, we're talking about standards and expectations, because I think a lot of us expect this coming into the relationship, like, oh, why is your sex drive not where mine is? Well, your life is completely different than mine as well. So why would anything be the same? We live different lives. We're different people. And I do think that, I feel like, just in my experience, you know, dating people, you know, they'll have all these sexual partners, all these sexual experience, all these great sexual experiences. They will tell me about them. And it will seem to me that it will correlate to them wanting it so much. Or maybe that's on top of being attracted to you or whatever.
So you're saying...
But at the same time, I'd have the opposite experiences. But they still expect me to have the same sex drive as them.
And so you're saying you have to match that because they expect that.
I'm saying for me, and I feel like for anybody, if I want to satisfy you sexually, absolutely I would need to match your sex drive. I would want to. And like I told you.
I think you would want to. I don't think if you are a low desire person. But
being a person changes. I can be one person today and a different person tomorrow.
People change, but your sex drive is also going to change. Because they say men's sex drive, the older you get, the lower your sex drive becomes, or is it when, I don't remember which one it is. But at some point, the sex drive is going to change. Now, of course, there's communication involved.
I feel like
and all
you're
of that,
almost saying it's no point to work on having a high sex drive.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is some people are just lower desire. For example, Kev on Stage and his wife talked about it. Kev on Stage is a high desire sex drive person. His wife is a low desire. They've been married for 20 some years, but they've always been that way.
But that's them.
I'm saying though, some people are going to be in relationships where there's going to be a
decision. So of course, everybody makes different decisions.
Okay.
So yeah, we can talk about that all day. I mean, everybody has variances in their decisions and how they decide to live their life.
Well,
for me,
what I'm saying is there's a conversation that needs to be had. So if you're a higher desire and your partner is lower desire, if you need this much sex in a week and this person is like, I can't give you that much sex per week. Like they can't give you that much desire. Then there needs to be a conversation that needs to be had. So it's like, okay, do we have sex 4 days out of the week instead of every single day, Then that's a conversation that needs to be had and an agreement that needs to be had.
And it don't even have to be that. Like I remember DJ Envy talked about it, how they talked about it in their book or whatever, where, I think it was a point in time where his wife's sex drive was low and he didn't know that. And then he finally, talked about it and she said it because it was lack of foreplay. Mm-hmm. So, it's obviously needs to be a conversation. And I feel like I never want to live in a marriage where I know I'm not satisfying you and I'm okay with it.
Absolutely.
It's going to always be some type of work. And I don't care if it takes me years and years and years. I'm never going to settle and say I'm okay with having a low sex drive when I know my husband wants me to have a high one. I would never be okay with that. I don't care how long it takes me. I'm going to want to tackle that because why not? What else am I doing? What's more important than satisfying my husband?
How would you handle rejection in that area?
Rejection as far as what?
Like,
oh, I'm not satisfied with you sexually?
No. If you were like initiating sex and he's like, nah.
I would be, unhealthy me would feel like he's cheating. Because that doesn't ever happen. So if it does happen, it's like, what's wrong with you? But like, I ain't gonna lie. It's probably happened all of like once in my life. And when it did happen, he said, what did he say? He said he didn't feel like I was being genuine. That's what he said. He felt like I was forcing myself to initiate sex. So when that rejection, I don't feel like I handled it that well because I was kind of confused and I was kind of like, we talk about having sex all the time, but when I initiated, you don't want to because you didn't feel like it was genuine, which that comes across, that does happen because I do have a low sex drive. So if you see me having a high sex drive, you're probably going to question like, all right, you doing this for me? You doing this for yourself? Or whatever. So I can see that, both sides, I'm like, I'm trying. And he's like, man, it ain't working, So I don't know. How do I handle it? I guess I handle it, whatever comes up. Like, I am a type of person where, and it's not everything. Like, when you're certain subjects, I might deflect, or I might like not take it well, or I may be defensive and all of those things. But for the most part, I feel like I'm going to take in what you say. And I'm going to be okay with that. Like, you want what you want, and I'm okay with trying to give it to you. So me handling that type of rejection, I know it wasn't because he didn't want me sexually. It was more so like, we're dealing with a mental situation here, and he wants it to be a mental thing. He wants it to be something that I desire on my own. Instead of it me being something I'm doing just for him. Like, and I would have said the same thing if I felt like it was being disingenuous. I would have been like, yeah, I don't want you to do me any favors. So yeah, I feel like I can 100% handle you not being satisfied with the way things are going, as long as you're giving me the opportunity to change it. I'm definitely cool with that. So I feel like I handle it well for the most part. There might be some issues that come up that I don't handle well, but that particular thing, I don't really come across that where men are rejecting me sexually. So I don't really deal with that as often to even have a full analysis of how I react to it. So yeah, I think I answered it. How do you handle it?
I roll over and go to sleep. No.
You masturbate. You go in the bathroom, go in the shower.
Yes.
Take that lotion off the.
Yes.
You see him take that lotion off the dresser.
Absolutely.
Just know you know what's going down.
I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'll be back.
Well, all right.
You
It is.
You know what I'm scared of though?
What?
Is if like she's initiating sex and I've already jacked off.
Yeah, I'm sure that's happened to me before.
I'm like, woo, uh-oh.
Just because I don't do it often.
It's just like, but I'm usually the initiator. So it's like, if you start initiating and you're usually not the initiator, and I'm already made up in my head, like, she ain't going to feel like, and I've already did what I had to do.
That's happened to me a lot.
I would be so nervous.
Unfortunately, in relationships.
I would come up with the quickest story. Like, dang, I got to go get something from the store. Give me like 20 minutes and I'll be recharged and ready to go when I get back.
Terrible. Nah, that's all the woman fault. I mean, I wouldn't say all the woman fault, but listen, we know, like, and that's the thing. We got to get educated on men. We got to get educated on men, okay? Because if we know they sexual appetite, we know they need sex, we got to step it up. It's that simple. I don't know. I don't really think it's really nothing else to say about that. So I got a lot of things, y'all. This might be a 2-part, 3-part. I don't know. We still recording?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the 50-50 conversation. I feel like that's another delusional standard.
Yep.
Because is there a such thing as 50-50, really? I don't think so. I don't think there is. Now, I feel like there are, it goes both ways. Like, because a lot of people, they be so stuck on income. Like, 50-50 in income, 50-50 on paying the bills. But there's a lot more to a relationship and sustaining a household than just paying the bills, right? So I have an issue with men who will say, yeah, I'm not going to take care of 100% of the bills. Like, we going 50-50, but don't ever want to help out with the kids. Don't ever want to cook. Don't ever want to clean. Don't ever want to take any other responsibilities on. So how is that 50-50? That's 75, 35, whatever, 25.
I think the 50-50 thing's a myth.
It's 100% a myth. That's why I say it's a delusional standard, because it's never really 50-50. Like I said, and I think a lot of men will say like, oh, I want 50-50, but they still want a traditional woman. So you want this homemaker type of woman, but you want her to work as hard as you? She's working twice as hard as you now because she's doing all the home stuff. So how is that 50-50? So is that a delusional standard to say, oh, I want a woman to go half of me on the bills, but I also want to kick my feet up when I come home from work and have my meal prepared for me? Yes,
it's unrealistic. Absolutely.
And I see this happen all the time. I have done it. You know what I'm saying? I have done it. I was the only cook. And I'm not saying I haven't lived with a man in a long time. And when I did live with a man, it wasn't like that. But I just feel like if you're not taking care of me in any way, but I'm taking care of you, how is that really 50-50? If I'm taking care of you in some way, if I'm taking care of making sure you're fed and all of those things, how is that a 50-50 situation?
Right.
So I think that's a delusional standard. I'm trying to think with women too. I think there's a thing where it's like, oh, well, yeah, I'm cool with paying half the bills, but I ain't cooking all the time, but I ain't never taking out the trash, and I ain't never cutting the grass, and I ain't never changing my own tire. And it's like, oh, you want him to split with the cooking, but you ain't never doing none of the other manly things. So I think that's kind of a delusional standard too. It's like, women, we got to stop putting all this on men, but acting like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. But then when he asks you to cook, that's not what you're supposed to do because you're going 50-50 on the bills.
Look, I've said this before. Play towards your strengths and have the conversation, because I guarantee you now, and I know people think like you got to bring 100 and 100, which is true, but every day that ain't going to happen.
Every day it's not going to happen.
Sometimes that man going to come home and going to give you 25%, and you still got to give 100 if you have the capability to do that. Sometimes 100 and 100 ain't going to be in the same house at the same time. Sometimes both of y'all going to give 25.
Yep.
Somebody going to give 75, other person going to give 30.
Because it seems like it's almost like it's a division. It's not really a collective coming together partnership when we're talking about 50-50. It's like a partnership is a partnership. Just like me and Dave is in a partnership right now.
Right.
It may not be 50-50. It might be whatever it is as long as the job gets done. As long as we're coming together and it works.
Nah, but for real.